Entitled Kevin-in-Law pees in my Tupperware and leaves it lying around. I know the title sounds ridiculous, but it's true. I've had a lot of problems with my future brother-in-law, but this is the craziest. Not only did he pee in my Tupperware and leave it lying on the bathroom floor for me to find, but then he tried to gaslight me into thinking this was normal behavior for all three of us in the apartment. I promise you, it is not. So I have an apartment with my fiancé and his brother. His brother has always been a huge burden to live with. He doesn't contribute at all as far as household items. He barely cleans his messes. He's always asking for favors without reciprocating much in return. He says one thing and doesn't follow through with it, and he acts very entitled by taking my stuff without asking. I'm barely just scratching the surface. This man-child has many more flaws than this. I've been getting majorly annoyed for a while, to the point that it's causing issues in my relationship because of the conflict of interest. It's my fiance's brother, plus their whole family has given up on this brother, so they just don't bother trying to help him better himself anymore. He's bipolar too, so he has anger issues, and he's hard to approach. If that's what they want to do, then fine, but his brother is not my problem or responsibility. I've only helped him as a favor to my fiancé. But yesterday was kind of the last straw. I go in the bathroom and I see a piece of Tupperware on the floor with some yellow liquid in it. I was confused as to what it was, and then I smelled it, and I could tell it was some sort of bodily fluid. First, I thought it was puke, because he's also used this same Tupperware to puke in before. I know, what the heck? Then the brother got home, and my fiancé asked him about it. He acted defensive about it and was like, "I thought that's the Tupperware everyone used to pee in." And I was like, "No, it's not. I've never peed in a piece of Tupperware before." But his tone came off as if I was being unreasonable by being upset about that. My fiancé, who can be a huge pushover, then told him, "It's fine, it's not a big deal." And I was honestly shocked. In what roommate situation is that okay, respectful, or hygienic? To pee in a dish of mine and then leave it in the bathroom? Then the brother said, "I was going to look for bleach, but then I forgot," as his excuse for leaving it in the bathroom. This dude is literally forgetting everything to the point that me and my fiancé have had to pick up so much of his slack. It's insane. I feel like he's indirectly gaslighting me for feeling upset and frustrated about something like this. I just feel like standards are so incredibly low with this guy, and I'm tired of dealing with it. I'm planning to let them both know soon that I will be removing myself from the lease and moving out within the next month or two because I just can't deal with living with someone like this anymore. Am I the jerk? Am I overreacting? I'm 99.9% sure I'm not, but some outside opinions would be helpful. Reddit misuses the term gaslighting so often, I can't believe that this might be the time they actually got it right. Now, while I've called out validation posts on this channel before, I should clarify that this original poster explained in a comment that the reason she's worried about being the jerk is because she's bailing on the lease. That's a legitimate concern. Then again, so is not wanting to live with this incredibly chaotic brother-in-law. I do have to wonder what their long-term plans were. I'm sure they weren't planning to still live with this guy after they got married. This OP should definitely leave if her fiancé isn't willing to stand up to his brother on an issue like this. But she really needs to think about what her future looks like in this marriage. If he can't remember that he's got a freaking Tupperware full of whiz to clean up, then keeping him around will just ensure that he finds new and exciting ways of making OP miserable every day. And if her fiancé won't stand up for her on this issue, what other issues will he be willing to back down from when she needs support? That said, maybe I'm overthinking this. What do you think? Is this experience a red flag for their marriage, or will things be fine once they ditch the brother? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Aunt Karen tries to erase the memory of a beloved family member. My Uncle Nick was married to my Aunt Lana until her passing 7 years ago. They were married before I was even born, so I grew up with her. I was 15 when she passed. My cousins, Nick and Lana's kids, were 8, 7, and 5. My whole family adored Lana, as though she was biologically one of us. They had known her most, if not all, of her life. My uncle met his second wife, Janet, 4 years ago. They started dating a few months later, and they got married 2 years ago. Janet has struggled with the fact Aunt Lana is still remembered by the family. We still mark the anniversary of her passing. We remember her birthday and leave stuff on her grave. My cousins talk about her a lot. They say how they wish she was still here. It's not that we dedicate our whole lives to it, but when someone brings up family photos, she's in many of them. Same with old family videos. She was also responsible for the flower garden in my grandparents' house, and there are a lot of memories of her. Janet has asked my parents and grandparents why we feel the need to remember Aunt Lana as though she were their daughter or sister instead of Nick's wife. Once she grumbled that my youngest cousin spent his art class making something for his mom's grave for Mother's Day instead of making Janet something. She has asked my parents and grandparents to take down the old family photos that include Lana. It was my cousin's birthday party a couple of weeks ago. While both sets of his grandparents were posing for a photo, he had brought up his mom. Then Janet started grumbling and sulking that Lana had come up. I asked her if she was okay, and she said that she hated mentions of that woman. She said that she had never seen in-laws as fond of a late daughter-in-law before, that they would actually mourn her passing for so long. She said that she had figured she would have stepped into Lana's place by now. I told her she needed to understand that Aunt Lana was part of our history, was a big part of mine, and that she was always going to be part of our family and someone we loved. I told her we could love both of them, but as long as she competes with my aunt, she won't ever be able to get close to us because she never tries to hide her feelings, and we can't just act like someone we love didn't exist. She had a tantrum where she called me an insensitive biscuit. She told me I should have been dropping to my knees and apologizing for making her feel less than, but instead I tell her she has no right to expect her place in the family to be put before a lifeless woman. I was shocked, as were the rest of the family. They were very unhappy with her, especially Uncle Nick. But I do feel kind of bad. Am I the jerk? Not only is OP not the jerk, but OP is in fact so in the right here that I find myself questioning Uncle Nick's role in all this. For the past 2 years, the woman he married has been competing with the late biological mother of her stepchildren. She complained that these very young kids still miss their mother and think about her on Mother's Day. Janet can complain all she wants that Lana wasn't biologically related to the family, but there are 3 young souls wrapped up in all this who are biologically related, and Janet's sulking is hurting them too. Is Nick really just now starting to realize that this isn't okay? I have no doubt that Janet's in a tough position here. Being a stepmother isn't easy, let alone when the first mother was taken by tragedy. But she needs to understand that her role isn't to replace Lana. Her role is just to be Janet. Her present place in the family's lives does not need to compete with Lana's memory. The two can coexist. It isn't easy, but it's one of those things that actually gets even harder when you resist it. If she doesn't learn that soon, I can't imagine she'll have any place at all in the family before too long. Entitled Tourette's Girl Review Bombs Me for Not Finishing Her Nails. I'm a commission-based nail technician, meaning I don't work for anyone but myself, and only rent out a chair in a salon, which is where I work. I reserve every right to decline a client within good reason, and have done so in the past. But something about this one has me thinking that I'm a bad person for it. Last week, a client came and sat in my chair after booking an appointment with me. This client did not state this anywhere in their appointment, but when they sat down and I was about to do their nails, they started to tick. I honestly didn't mean it, but I think I showed a little worry on my face as they then explained their condition. They explained they have Tourette's, and sometimes they have tics, which move their hands. I nodded, and they asked if it'd still be okay. I wanted to set a good impression and assumed it wouldn't be so bad. So I told them I would definitely try, and asked them which design and colors, length, and shape they'd like on them today. It got bad. Lately, a nail style called alternating ombre nails has been going viral all over TikTok and other social media. This style includes blending, French tip, and precise straight lines. Not too hard, but not too easy. I felt bad. I said I would try, and so I did try. All through the application of the acrylics, way before the painting, their hands were ticking and moving. It was getting absolutely unbearable, as I knew I wasn't going to be able to do their nails. Just as I was finished drilling her nails into a decent shape and starting to paint, my client had a tic attack, and so nail polish was all over their hand. I immediately offered to clean it up for them, but they got really flustered and started to cry and sob. I felt uncomfortable, I won't lie. I definitely couldn't continue their nails. I must say, the work I'd done until then wasn't my best work, but not too bad. I sat the client back down and explained that I didn't think this was working out, and that a more experienced stylist would maybe work for them. I offered them a drink and a refund, but I could see the frustration in their eyes. They started shouting, calling me a brat, a dog, and a childish biscuit, all while storming out. Since then, I've been getting non-stop calls from the client's family, friends, and even Google reviews telling me about how ungrateful, selfish, and ableist I am. So, am I the jerk for refusing to do a client with Tourette syndrome's nails? I'll be honest, I looked up this nail style, and they just look like colored nails to me. So I'll have to take OP's word for it when she says there's a lot more to it. I don't even want to know why there was a drill involved in this story, but I can imagine why that made her hesitant to continue doing someone's nails while their hands were moving uncontrollably. If OP tried her best and tried to recommend a more experienced hand barber, then it doesn't sound like she was the jerk here at all. The remaining question is whether the client is at fault. She probably should have said something up front, but the comments can't agree if her cursing as she left was likely tick-related or if she was actually being rude. Naturally, people on both sides have suspicious amounts of anecdotal evidence relating to this relatively uncommon condition. It doesn't entirely matter. Even if she cursed intentionally, the fact that she lost her cool for a few seconds on her way out the door is a small issue. It's the review bombing that's problematic, and there's no proof that OP even had anything to do with that. Some families are overprotective and would easily do something like that as soon as OP mentioned what happened at the salon. So is this client the jerk? We'll likely never know without details that are impossible to learn. But let this be a lesson that if you have something you need to put out there while making an appointment, don't keep quiet. You might be afraid they'll turn you away, but they might only do that so they can send you to someone better. And that's a way better outcome than having someone do half your nails before sending you on your way. If you made it this far in the video, consider liking and subscribing for more videos coming. Ignorant Spanish teacher keeps punishing my mental health needs. I had a lot of problems last semester with my Spanish teacher. For context, I have CPTSD, and relaxation exercises give me panic attacks because I cannot relax. This teacher, who we'll call Ms. Karina, required her entire class to do relaxation exercises, despite it being on my 504 that I do not have to do anything related to counseling in my classes, as teachers aren't properly trained to deal with the fallout of my extensive trauma. Now, every single day, I would have to re-explain the problem to Ms. Karina that she could look at my 504 and that I would under no circumstances do the exercises. And multiple times, she tried to write me up for insubordination. We also had multiple issues of her setting me up to be bullied by making me talk about my family in front of the class, which led to a lot of mocking and bullying by other students for stupid things, like having 16 siblings, or having to ask how to say foster parent in Spanish. Basically, the entirety of last semester, there was something that I had to explain to her that I couldn't do because it made me uncomfortable. I feel it important to note that no other teacher has ever had problems with the accommodations I receive, especially considering I have the proper paperwork. It got so bad that last semester, for the last 2 days, I just skipped Spanish, despite having severe anxiety over being absent. This previous week, I met with my counselor and several of my teachers, and we discussed that I have to take Spanish too, and my counselor insisted I have Miss Karina. But I argued back in front of her that last semester it was a different issue every day, and that I could not properly learn in an environment like that, even arguing that my straight A's didn't prove her to be a competent teacher, as I make an A in every class, regardless of the teacher. I said that my problem is not my learning, but my comfort. Eventually, my counselor agreed to place me in the other Spanish teacher's class. When I got home and explained what happened with the counselor to my foster mom, she said that she felt it was a jerk move to lay out all of my problems in front of Ms. Karina and all of my other teachers. But I think that it was important for me to advocate for myself, and I doubt asking for privacy would have helped. In addition to that, she's a teacher and should be accustomed to understanding that sometimes people just don't work well together. So am I the jerk? I can't say I'm surprised that this OP's teachers had no problem accommodating her. Not because she had the proper paperwork, but because teachers shouldn't be spending their time leading counseling sessions when they're meant to be educating students. Never in my life have I heard of a language class leading relaxation exercises. How is that considered a part of her job? By the way, for those of you who wondered, a 504 is the official plan for dealing with someone who has a recognized condition. If OP has a 504, then she isn't just claiming to have CPTSD, she's been diagnosed. I do love that OP asks if she's the jerk, but just before that, she lays out all the reasons that she isn't the jerk. It makes my job a whole lot easier. It goes without saying that no teacher should treat a student like this. But despite the huge number of fake posts popping up on Reddit lately, I'll mostly believe this one. Because, unfortunately, I've seen too many teachers mistreat their students when morality and law were both on the student's side. Have you ever dealt with a teacher like this? Were you able to get it handled? Share your stories with us down below. Annoying daughter won't stop licking my cupcakes. I have a 10-year-old daughter who loves frosting. Every week I buy cupcakes for me, my wife, and her, and she always eats my frosting. These past few weeks, I decided to eat my cupcake before going inside. She asked me where my cupcake was, and I told her I don't like cupcakes anymore, so I only bought 2. It worked for a while, but last night when I was enjoying my cupcake before going inside, she caught me and ran to her mom to tell her how much of a terrible dad I am to steal her frosting for weeks. She's sulking, and my wife thinks I'm the jerk and am acting childish, and should just let her have it. But it's easy for her to say when she has never given up her frosting. Am I the jerk? Edit. Everyone is taking this very seriously. My daughter is not an entitled, spoiled brat. Honestly, I think she doesn't even love frosting that much. She only does it to annoy me. Edit 2. A lot happened. My wife is getting a divorce. She says she can't live with a liar. CPS came to our home to take our child away. They said we're terrible parents for letting our child eat frosting. But by the time they got here, our daughter wasn't home. Why? Because cops came and arrested her for stealing a car. They said frosting thieves always become car thieves, so there's no need to wait. She should go to jail ASAP. When she got there, she called me and said she's going no contact because I lied to her and she can't trust me anymore. Meanwhile, we're getting calls from her friends telling us horror stories about our daughter bullying them. Our life is ruined, all because of a cupcake. Nah, just kidding. So my daughter and I had a serious conversation about this problem, and we came to an agreement. She said she'll stop stealing my frosting if I stop stealing her chips. So we're good. Edit 3. Some people clearly didn't realize the second edit was a joke, because I keep getting messages saying, no, this didn't happen, it's fake. Yeah, geniuses, you're right. This OP just started using Reddit, and he already knows which tropes play best with this crowd. That's insane. I can't even tell if he's still trolling when he makes that reference to stealing his daughter's chips. Some of the commenters got pretty mad, but this is actually what this type of subreddit was made for. It was always meant to be about dumb, meaningless disputes. It's only recently that everyone started banging their siblings and calling CPS on each other's kids. From the sound of it, this guy actually has a decent relationship with his daughter. Everyone taking it seriously thinks that eating a little bit of frosting is going to turn this daughter into an ultra Karen. It's not that deep. If everyone on Reddit really thinks a cupcake can poison you that deeply for the rest of your life, then they must assume everyone who wasn't raised in a ditch and forced to get a job at 10 years old is set to be spoiled for the rest of their days. Sometimes it's okay to chill out a little. It's okay to just laugh and enjoy life a bit. This post seems geared toward helping us do that, so this OP has my gratitude. What do you think? Is licking some frosting off the top of a cupcake going to ruin OP's daughter? Or has Reddit just taken their disdain for children overboard and been called out on it by a troll? As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your stories in the comments. I'd love to make a video of them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.